Good morning. It is October 24th, 2025, and this is the final OSU Turfgrass team times of 2025. Online today, we got Dr. Dave Gardner, Dr. Dave Shetlar, and Dr. Xiaowei Wu. As we start to wrap up, we most certainly have seen a drop off in temperatures. Soil temperatures are still not gone, and so there is still some grass growth ongoing. But we're getting into those periods of time where it may be optimal for that late fall fertilization before we get a hard frost and things really stop growing. Dr. Garner, you want to give us a weed update?
I certainly do. And yes, thank you to everybody who has watched our programming this year. So it seems like things are winding down, but from a weed control perspective, there's actually quite a bit that can still be done. Now, you can just blow everything off till next year, but there is quite a bit in weed control that can still be done. One, you can assess where it is that you might want to put down some pre-emergence control next year, because the crabgrass, after the first frost, which depending on where you are in Ohio, that was this morning, but if not, it might be tomorrow morning, but that'll all start to turn purple. And so that will, be a nice marker for you to determine where it is that you could use some more pre-emergence herbicide next spring. On the other hand, the savanna grasses, Bermuda grass, nimblewillow, et cetera, they will turn a tan or a light, a white color. And so for the annual grasses, a pre-emergence herbicide in the spring, my best control this year in funded trials was with a pre-post combination applied between May 10th and May 20th. I know that that kind of goes against the normal scheduling, but by far and away, that was the best result. More on that next spring, though. For the perennial tropical grasses, so paspalum, for example, basically, make sure that you know where that is. It is still visible, so you can monitor for any regrowth in April. And remember, since that's a perennial, you'll only be able to use post-emergence control. But even if you applied topramazone and had good results with that this fall, check those areas again to make sure that it's not trying to come back. And then, like I said, the savanna grasses like nimblewillow and Bermuda grass, you're going to have to wait for those to green back up next spring before you can attempt either topramazone or mesotrione selectively that requires several applications, or just glyphosate followed by overseeding. It's a banner year for winter annuals because of the thinning of the turf associated with the relatively dry summers that we've had these past two seasons. This is what a typical bare area might look like. Lots of germinating winter annual weeds. And so, well, we're kind of past the window to put down a pre-emergence herbicide to prevent them if they're already there, right? But just a reminder that you're probably going to get better control with a post-emergence herbicide applied between now and the middle of November than if you try to control with a post-emergence herbicide in April. I had a couple of funded trials where I looked at some really good products for the control of winter annuals, and by protocol, I put those out in mid-March to early April, and it did not go well. So, a post-emergence application now, while they're young, before they've hardened off over winter, is something that I would recommend if you have an issue with these. Also, for the perennial broadleaf weeds, dandelion, clover, like I said, the temptation is just leave them until next year, but we have all of the science in the world that backs up that now is the time to make the application. Okay, you get much better control. There's more translocation below ground to all those parts that make the perennial a perennial. Senescing leaves in the fall are a lot less sensitive to volatility or drift compared to newly emerging leaves in the spring, so it's much safer. And if you try to control your dandelion and clover now, you also hit those winter annuals that I was just talking about. And it really does work. So this was a trial that I did, oh gosh, many years ago, where an application of a combination herbicide was made on November 21st. And you can see what it looked like on December 5th, burned down pretty good on the right-hand treated side. The untreated side, that common chickweed is looking just fine. So again, it is not too late. Anytime between now and the middle of November is pretty much go time for controlling broadleaf weeds. Another funded trial that I put out at a similar time on the right is what it looked like the following spring versus the left where it's untreated. And this stayed clean until the following October. So not only can you get good weed control in the fall, but it's much more long-term, again, because you get the translocation below ground, whereas in the spring, you're really just getting the top growth. Just make sure you're using the right kind of herbicide, though. Amines are not so effective in cooler weather. Check the label, make sure that it is the ester formulation. We don't like to use those in warm weather because you can cause a lot of harm to your landscape plants. But at this time of the year, cooler weather, these are by far and away the most effective formulations. And that's what I have for today.
Thank you, Dave. Much appreciated for all the insights during the year. If there are questions for Dave now or going into spring, feel free to reach out. buckeyeturf@osu.edu is the email address. Dr. Wu, have you got an update on insects?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. So earlier this year, I have conducted a survey, and Turfgrass entomology needs survey, working with 6 other Turfgrass entomologists. And here I wanted to share some of the results we have. And really appreciate you all who participate in this survey. So in Ohio, we received around 70 responses from different sections of turfgrass, mostly from golf, and also significant amount from lawns and parks, and also athletic fields, a few from salt productions. And so it looks like we surveyed on 12 turfgrass paths of concerns among the 7 states. We want to keep it consistency. And looks like in Ohio, the major problem was a white grub and also ABW. So these are the 2 top ones with concerns. And actually, several other states in the northeastern part also have the similar problems, white grubs and ABW. And so we also look at what's the actual problem facing for each specific past. For white grubs, it seems like timing of application was the major one, which is actually surprising because we have lots of time we do preventive control and in the summer month before the pest occur. However, I understand that some people may apply it early and that may lose the efficacy when the grubs actually show up. So that can be one of the problems. And so for ABW control, also timing application and monitoring are the 2 big concerns. For ABW, it's more complicated than grubs because grubs have an annual life cycle, and we know that most of the grubs have an annual life cycle, and they show up in about August, September, and we do preventive control in June, July, right, or mid-August. However, ABW has multiple generations, 2 to 3 generations in Ohio, and that makes control complicated, especially that the emergence from the overwintering sites lasts about several weeks, about more than 1 month. So that means it's hard to find the best timing to control the adults without losing the efficacy. So like novice sites, adult sites, that may complicate it, and also monitoring. So from this, I feel like we still need some extension education about how to control this pest. And I also want to share some other things. So one of the publication, or actually 2 publications on golf course management we work with. So one was a survey on the ABW, Ohio golf courses. This survey I sent it out early last year. And thank you all for participating in this survey. And so this survey look at the distribution of ABW in Ohio. And so in this map, you can see the blue ones means it's confirmed presence of ABW, and the reddish orange ones were the ones said not present. The white ones means that we have not confirmed yet, so we don't know if it's there or not. However, if you have ABW problems, however, it's not shown as blue ones on this map, please reach out to me and I'll be happy to add that to the map and showing the presence of ABW. I'm pretty sure that this path is expanding. We have received lots of new reports since the survey last year. So I will be very happy to update this map. And in this survey, we also, this article will also look at the problems controlling and, for example, about mowing and mower clipping connections and some other practices. I will encourage you to take a look at the article on golf course management. And also there's another article that I co-authored, also published in Golf Course Management. This just came out in October. So this is about using the entomopathogenic nematodes. We also call it beneficial nematodes because they do not harm plants. They kill insects. This is used for EBW control. This work was kind of done when I worked with Dr. Albert Koppenhofer's lab as a postdoc some years ago. And we worked together for the control of EBW with the nematodes in combination with the insecticides imidacloprid, and also did split applications and tested on insecticide susceptible and resistant populations. It's a very interesting study. We did a lot of work on this, and it shows that there was an additive interaction between the nematodes and the insecticides, and the split application of the nematodes also help with the control as well. And it was pretty effective against the moderately resistant ABW populations, but against the very high populations, like over 300-fold of resistance to bifenthrin, it didn't work as well. But still against the moderate resistance, around 100 levels resistance, 50, 100 level resistance, it was still good. So as long as you don't have the crazy 300 levels resistance to bifenthrin, you'll probably be fine. So I encourage you to take a look at this article, to take a look. It is very, I would say they use entomopathogenic nematodes. They are commercially available as biopesticides. But if you're interested in using these products, I will suggest you look at some reliable sources. Do not buy dead nematodes because they can lose viability during storage or transportation process. And also, I want to mention that we recently have finished all the crop trial evaluations, and unfortunately, all the field ones did not work out well as expected because we didn't find white grubs. Only found 1 or 2 in our trials, even though we caged the Japanese beetle adults onto the field, and it was irrigated, but still, it seems like they do not survive. I think the drought conditions this year play a big role in, even though it was irrigated, but it helped with the Turfgrass survive, but the Japanese beetle grubs, and because the egg needs a lot of moisture, need moisture conditions to hatch, so that could have been compromised, affected by the weather conditions. What does that mean? That means you may probably don't need to worry too much about grubs this year. Since I didn't find that in several of my trials, I assume that you probably happen the similar situation in your field, especially you are not even trying to catch the Japanese beetles onto your turfgrass. But still, just keep an eye on that for late season damage, just in case. If you find it out, let me know, and I'll be happy to see about checking out the situations. And actually, I'm looking for white grub sites for study next year. So if you have a historical site can be used for white grub research, I'll be very happy to talk with you about that. And I would say that's because of drought conditions, there's a delayed development ABW. And so I would say not a big problem this year, but keep an eye just in case. But for the next spring, you may want to watch out those ones late emergence from the development ones from the second to third instars, just in case they cause damage. All right, everything done with the insects. One thing I want to mention about the disease is that, so the one thing we worry a lot is snow molds. Snow mold control in the winter. So the controls should be applied before the first snow cover the ground. So I will encourage you to do that. October, November, it's a good timing. So you can do that. There are some fungicide options, including DMIs and some others. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wu. Dr. Shetlar.
Uh, yeah, I've been monitoring what's been going on from the internet. Gary Griggs's group on Facebook and one of our and Albert Koppenhofer at Rutgers that Dr. Wu talked about. One of the things that's showing up is mounding, little mounds of soil that gets kicked up. As you can see, these are little small nuisance mounds. Some people say they looked a little bit like earthworms, but they're not in those threads like in castings. And this can be either the seed corn beetle. And what happens is for some reason the adult beetles dig into, typically on the greens and tees, kick up these little mounds of soil. If you pull out a core of that area, you'll probably find the little seed corn beetle in there. It's only about 1/4 of an inch long, typically sort of a yellowish brown color with these 2 stripes on the wing covers. That's typically how we see that one. And the other one that we see, most people are familiar with the regular mounds that the turfgrass ant kicks up, but generally in September and October, the established colonies release new potential queens, and these can also dig into the turf. Unfortunately, there's really not much that can be done about these. Both of them, I've had superintendents in the past that when we were using Dursban and diazinon, that would make it seem like weekly applications of those, much to no avail. Same thing with the pyrethroids or even combination products. The reason for that is that the adult beetle and the adult ant are just digging into the turf. They're not eating anything or ingesting anything, so they don't get a toxic dose of the pesticide. So about all you can really do at this time is just whip those or mow those little mounds off. They usually occur overnight, but in heavy infestations, they can occur during the daytime. So you may need to whip an affected green during, like at noontime or 12 o'clock to clean that mounding of the soil off of those greens. I know it's a real nuisance. The golf course superintendents complain that the little mounds of soil will cause the mower blades to be dulled and so forth. But like I said, there's not much that we can do insecticide wise for these other than just survive them out, not causing any damage. For some reason, they don't really establish any colonies. The seed corn beetles don't lay eggs down there. It's just one of those nuisance things. Finally, in my neighborhood, we are seeing all the areas where the turfgrass died because of the prolonged drought. And the skunks and raccoons are digging or sampling in those areas, but they're not finding any grubs. And if they are digging persistently, it's my impression that what they're going after are earthworms at this time. So that's all I've got to report, Ed.
Thank you, Dave. Just a quick follow-up on snow mold treatments. Most of the northern part of the state will probably cover larger parts. For those of you in Columbus and Cincinnati, you might be just focused on your greens. Pink snow mold is the one that we see most prominently here in Ohio, and that's generally tied to the fact that we don't see extended periods of snow cover. Pink snow mold is generally not considered to kill turf, but a combination of a contact and a DMI may be one of the most effective, cost-effective applications. There are plenty of options out there. The other thing to keep in mind, if I had the ability to predict this, I'd also be doing the lottery. The potential for winter kill does seem to have increased here in Ohio, and the reason for that is that we're losing snow cover during some critical periods. And we've had multiple examples of that occurring over the last 3 to 5 years, particularly in the northern part of the state. Some of it may be just wind damage. that you're getting desiccation, and so it's patience. But if this is something that you're concerned about, one of the first and foremost steps that people tend to take is a deep tine aeration along with heavy top dressing of sand to try and bury the crowns, particularly on areas that might be exposed during that period of time. With that, I will say we're going to wrap it up. The Ohio Turfgrass Conference is coming up December 9th through the 11th. Registration is open. If there are questions about anything over the winter, feel free to reach out. And I would not expect this to be back online until sometime in late March, unless conditions suddenly decide to return to 80 degrees. One last point, I guess, to make is that seeding is probably done at this stage. And if you are going to put down grass, sod is probably going to be the most successful approach to try and get stuff established. With that, we say thank you for 2025, and we'll talk to you all next year, folks.